My Lords, I rise to oppose this bill, despite the respect I have for the noble Baroness Lady Meacher, and I wish to develop the point being made by the noble Baroness Lady Masham of Ilton. My father, in his when he was on his last legs a few years ago, was physically quite robust, and he was capable of keeping up with current affairs. He lived at home and looked after himself. But mentally, he was becoming increasingly fretful and indeed borderline paranoia in the last couple of years. Now, I believe this is quite common amongst the elderly. It is a form of dementia in itself, even though he wasn't actually confused in the normal sense. The news of the Liverpool pathway scandal that broke in his last year had a shattering effect on him. It destroyed any trust he had in the medical profession, and it became extremely difficult to persuade him to attend hospital for treatment for the sort of low-level chronic conditions he had that needed periodic attention. And this is my worry. I mean, I'm generally opposed to the principle of the bill, but my worry about its practical effects relates very much to this key question of that intimate type of trust that we all need to have in doctors and nurses when we are ill, and we put ourselves in their hands. It's not just people like my father who were sort of borderline paranoid and suffered from conspiracy theories. I think it's many elderly people who simply feel that going to the hospital is a place of life and cure. It is not a place where death is deliberately administered. I know many doctors and nurses feel very similarly, and there is evidence from other countries where this practice is legalized of elderly people in particular being fearful of going to the hospital. So how, my lords, is this going to be dealt with? I've heard nothing from the proponents of the bill about how they would address this concern or even acknowledge it. I mean, one possibility would be a radical separation between the NHS and assisted dying facilities. No sharing of personnel, no sharing of premises. But I haven't heard an answer to it. That may or may not be workable. I haven't heard an answer to it. It needs to be addressed because it's fundamental to the social effects of this bill if it's passed.